And welcome in, everybody, to the MHRT podcast. I'm your host, Mundungus Creevy, joined by my co-host, the 6'10" Mexican, Mr. Boggins, and Glenn Hauser. We go live every Thursday, 7-6-5-4. You know where to put them, on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. So if you would, please give us a like and a follow, subscribe, turn on notifications, smash that thumbs up, and share everything we post everywhere. And if you notice, we are joined by the man that was voted the second sexiest man in the world, behind Glenn Hauser, by absolutely no one, Mohamed Badri.
Yeah.
How we doing, man?
Doing great.
You can't beat that intro.
Oh, yeah. I finally made it, I guess.
You made it.
We didn't have the
two.
budget for fireworks, but just imagine fireworks going off.
Mo has on magazines and everything, which people use in doctors' offices. Mm-hmm. So that's cool.
Exactly.
Or those ones where you run out of toilet paper and you just got to get desperate to rip a page out.
Yeah, because all those subscriptions that people have to magazines.
How's everybody doing?
Money. Yeah.
Good. How about good?
You didn't know where you were going with that, did you?
Yeah. I had to recalibrate there for a second.
Okay. Processing.
Landon's already in. We got Albert Knoppers. Happy birthday, by the way, man.
Yeah, Albert, happy birthday.
Was it
man.
yesterday
Happy
or
birthday,
was it?
It was yesterday.
Was it yesterday? Okay.
That was so cool that his daughter came on Huddle Up last night.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Happy birthday, the big 2-9.
21 looks good.
Forever.
On you.
All right, so we got some things to get to, so we're going to go ahead and get right into it. You know what's coming.
Look, Ma, no hands.
Boom, it's the weekly recap. What?
Nothing.
What?
It just brings back memories. That's all I'm gonna say.
Let's see. Okay, so there was something that I heard. It was on the Pat McAfee podcast, which is awesome, by the way. He was talking about the ownership situation with the Chargers. I guess that there's 4 kids, and 3 of them, Dean, Matt or Michael, and Angela or Angie or something like that, are together. And then there's one, Dia, that split off and is saying like, hey, we're like 300 something million in debt. We need to sell the team so we can get out of it. And the other 3 are like, no, we'll buy you out if you want, but nothing's happening with the team. So you thought that Denver had an ownership mess. Ha! The Chargers are like, hold my beer.
I'm glad to hear that, though.
Yeah. I'll take it, but we also still very much so have an ownership mess.
Sure.
Well, and then there's was it the Washington Dan Snyder was just allowed to buy out the minority owner, so he owns everything. I mean, that makes it so we can sell the team, right? There doesn't have to be a vote on it now.
Do you think he's really going to sell the team? I
think the NFL's going to make him sell the team.
I wouldn't put it past them. Honestly, I wouldn't.
I think they should, and that's why I wonder if that's why they did that, was so that it's not like the minority owners are fighting it. Mm-hmm. So they can just, okay, you have to sell the team, go find somebody. And then Jeff Bezos can come in.
How about you buy the whole, you are the main guy now. He's like, yeah, great idea. He's like, no, I'm the main guy. It's like, great, sell your team.
You want the good news or the bad news?
Uh-oh.
I don't know what happened.
He broke it.
He's still talking.
It did this last time, too.
It's like Sam Darnold, us seeing ghosts.
Let's see here. There were changes to the overtime format, their proposals for overtime, or changes to overtime, jersey numbers, and then rules for like referees and things like that.
The overtime was put out by the Broncos, right? The 4th and 15.
Now it's a true sudden death that was proposed by, I think, the Ravens and the Eagles, and then there's another one saying no overtime in preseason games. So I'm wondering if by sudden death they're meaning like going back to the old format.
Or XFL, where they have to just run to the center of the field, whoever gets there first. Just like,
yeah.
put a ball down.
I still don't understand why they don't do college overtime rules in the NFL. It's so much better.
I heard the Broncos proposed a 4th and 15, and if our quarterback throws an interception, we get the ball back.
Yeah, that should be easier.
Well, I know somebody
Easy.
proposed something like you lose a down or you give up a down and you go for an onside kick or something like that.
I think that's what the XFL was doing before the pandemic started. They were doing some pretty cool stuff over there in terms of like, hey, here's an idea, NFL. Why don't you do things this way? And then folded.
The fan voted league was pretty cool, where Johnny Manziel is and Josh Gordon, where people can kind of like vote in for what they think the rules should be in, so they kind of like adapt. It's pretty cool because you just got to try things out. I could definitely see NFL officiants using that to kind of like, that I'd like that a little more.
Oh, geez. Okay, so the Buccaneers.
The jersey numbers too. Actually, I think that's pretty interesting.
Yeah, I think they're talking about expanding the jersey numbers for positions. Right. So like linemen are limited to what, like 60s and 70s.
Yeah.
So they want to expand it to like 40, 50, 60, 70, 80 or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
They're talking about single digits for linebackers and defensive backs.
I never understood why that was such a thing necessarily. I mean, it's cool for fans, I guess, to kind of know based on a number that's probably the positional group, I guess. But I mean, receivers have been all over the place for a while now. So
penalty kicks for overtime. Yeah.
Like
just
soccer,
getting like a kicker off.
Yeah, like soccer. Why not?
Okay, he's going for a 72-yarder this time.
Whoever double doinks first, they win.
The double doink.
Let's see. So the Buccaneers basically signed every single person back that they had last year, except for Antonio Brown. It looks like they're not even close.
Yeah,
they got all 22.
Yeah, they got everybody back except Antonio Brown. He hasn't.
Should go back to the Raiders. How about that?
No, that worked out well. They might have to sign him to play tackle.
Yeah, I think
no,
Antonio Brown
block.
He burned his bridge with the Raiders. He's gonna go to a team that and the Steelers.
I always thought there was something wrong with him psychologically. I mean,
he's
that's where you start getting into that CTE conversation. Like you would hope they had him checked out before he signed anywhere.
Well, like Vontaze Burfict broke him. Like I think legitimately broke him.
2015 that hit. Yeah. He's never
literally
been
and figuratively he's broken.
Yeah.
So
Ryan Fitzpatrick is Washington's QB1, but will have competition. I wonder where.
Yeah.
Where do they sit in the draft? Are they 7?
20, 19, 20?
19,
yeah,
20.
Yeah.
Somewhere down there, right?
They made the playoffs.
I mean, who are they even going to get as
they
a
won their division?
Maybe if they trade up, maybe Mac Jones. There's Kellen Mond. There's
I was going to say Alex
Jamie
Smith.
Newman.
No, they just let him go.
Yeah.
They had a pretty good defense. I like their defense. You know?
Well, yeah, their defensive line is nuts.
They do have Taylor Heineke, who they signed on a contract. Yeah. So whoever, if they do get a quarterback, it'll probably be in the later rounds, and they'll start behind Heineke.
They're gonna grab Minshew.
I hope so. The more free agent quarterbacks off the market just mean that we're getting closer and closer to like reaching for a Fields or something in the draft, in which I am completely for. So
yeah,
I did post today on Twitter that I don't think they're going to do anything until the draft, because that's such a Peyton. Like from what I've seen of Peyton so far, that'd be such a Peyton move. He's just very like patient and meticulous, and like just wait till the last moment to find out if the guy he wants is really going to be there, and then move up if he wants to.
I think that's what's going to happen.
I just see him sitting behind his desk like Dr. Evil.
You know, one thing I did hear on Undisputed, I don't know if it was today or yesterday, was the fact that Skip and Shannon feel that pro days are a waste of time, because they feel that what you see those players do is not a reflection of what they can do when an actual quarterback is facing an actual defense or having to throw the ball, which I kind of disagree. And I'm saying that, I'm saying that from a guy who doesn't even really watch when guys go on pro days. I usually go off from what Boggins highlights as clips, and if he likes somebody, I like somebody. But I totally disagree with them, because I feel that, scouts and stuff, they need to get a better idea and understanding. Because if you make that argument, then you can also say that the combine itself is pretty much a waste of time too, if you feel that way, because in the combine, that's what you do with other players. You see how fast they can run, how high they can jump, how they can run their routes, which is stuff that I can't honestly see how you can say is not necessary.
I just don't understand why everybody's so hot and cold about pro days or combine. It's just like, take it with a grain of salt. Like, there's certain positions that you like to see measurables more than others. Like, do you care how high your quarterback can jump? No. But like some of the linebackers that need to actually jump, or a cornerback, like, it's just like it just depends on what it is. And I don't think it's a waste of time. Otherwise, quarterback or coaches wouldn't be flying out to see all these guys in person. They want to like talk to them. They want to see them throw. And I don't think there would be as much of a big deal this season if we didn't have, if we had combines. If we had a combine, I mean, people would be talking about that probably this less, So it's just like everyone's just overblowing. Just because people are impressed by a throw, everyone's like, that doesn't translate on the football field. Look at this. It's like, I understand it's not the same thing. It's still a good throw. Like, I don't. So
you go to it.
Yeah,
you go to it.
It's like, just calm down.
I just think we still got to get a quarterback just in case Mr. Luck doesn't work out. Because looking at next draft, it's not really looking promising. So,
well, this is one of the things. Go ahead.
I was going to say, Mo's exactly right, and one of the things that when we say critical things about Drew and things that he needs to work on from our standpoint, all five of us want him to be the starter.
Absolutely, yeah.
The problem is you have to have a plan B. Every team needs to have some level of a backup, because what happens after week 3 if we're 0-3 and he has 9 interceptions? I mean, and that's possible. I mean,
yeah.
So all of a sudden now we have a 17-game season, so we have an extra opportunity to make the playoffs. We're in the hardest division in the NFL, in my opinion, and we have the 5th easiest schedule for the first time. We're always the team that has the 2nd hardest schedule, the hardest schedule, the 4th hardest schedule. We've never been in, at least I can't remember last time we were in a position where we have the easiest schedule. They add a 17th game, and it's against the Detroit Lions. Like, we have to. It's not disrespect to have a backup.
And look at this roster. Like, how much time do we have? We don't have much time to wait. Like,
we got 32 players coming up that need to be resigned next year. Is that what it is?
Yeah, something like that. We have multitude of different, but quarterback is the most important position, and it is also the biggest hole we currently have. Like, everyone's like, oh, give him another year, give him another year. By that time, we have how many other people we're gonna have to re-sign, and then we're gonna have to start fresh. So it's just like, why not just reach on a quarterback? Like, everybody's talking about, we need a linebacker in the first. We need Micah Parsons, who fits our system worse than plenty of others that are. This is a super deep linebacker draft. Like, just go reach for that quarterback, and then you have other rookies that you can potentially put in. You never fill needs in the draft. Like, you always draft for potential. Always. You always swing for the fences, because you have people like, that's why I am an advocate for like a Kyle Pitts, because he's a potential generational talent. Like, it would just be dumb to look back or down the line and be like, well, remember that time we got Pitts? I mean, I know he's a Hall of Fame tight end and everything, but we really needed a linebacker to upgrade from Josie Jewell. Like, it's the way Fangio utilizes his defense, it doesn't matter anyways. Like, he made waiver wire defense look decent. Like, whatever.
Well, I'll put one little caveat on what Glenn said. I do not want Locke to start like, okay, I don't want him to be the absolute starter. Like, if
right.
As the roster stands right now, absolutely start Drew Lock. He's the most talented quarterback on the roster. But if we draft somebody, or if we bring a veteran in, or both, there has to be a competition because Drew
Competition, I
Lock
agree. Yeah.
did not earn the starting spot. Like
No,
if there's nothing he's done in the past 2 years that's like, oh yeah, he's definitely the starter. Like if he goes in there and he wins that starting spot, cool, play him.
Yeah.
But if he goes in there and he loses the starting spot, I swear, like if he loses and he still starts, then I'm gonna be mad.
I mean, but you're never going to know if he, loses or whatnot. And I'm 95% sure he's going to start the season because he knows the offense more than anybody else is going to coming into the season. And he will at least start the season unless you have the only chance it would be if you get a Deshaun Watson in there and traded Locke away. That would be the only way. Otherwise, it's like 99% chance Locke starts the season. It doesn't mean he's going to stay there. But
I will say this, though, because Goodell did come out and say that there will be full stadiums this season. So my assumption is that means that teams will be more inclined to let people into training camp. So then there's going to be people that are watching and seeing like, hey, Drew Lock is not winning the starting spot. So that would be the only thing I would say is that people could see that he isn't winning it. But as it stands right now, he absolutely should be the starter because unless we're rolling Rippin for a year, which I guess I wouldn't love, but I wouldn't hate it. But Rippin's not the future, so I don't know. So now there's people digging into now that the Niners moved up to 3, who they might pick, and then who would be left if we decided to move up or stay. So I'm hearing a lot of rumors that the Niners or Shanahan is in love with Mac Jones.
I like Trey Lance.
I always thought that Mac Jones was underrated. That's just my personal opinion. But smoke all you want. Just don't do it on camera.
Well, you're in similar shape. That's why you like him.
Hey, listen here.
Round is a shape, Glenn. Round is
there's like 4 quarterbacks you could probably list that have like a 6-pack. The rest probably look like us.
Yeah, I just don't see it. Would I love it? Oh, absolutely. Like, yeah, but I don't think like you can't. Like, why would you have a Mac Jones sit behind a Garoppolo when you pretty much have a Garoppolo 2.0? Just like, ugh.
I think it's Trey Lance. I like Trey Lance, but I think that's what they're really going to go for.
Hopefully. I really want Fields. I really, really want Fields.
So, and then now there's a bunch of stuff coming out about Fields that it's not so much talent-wise that's knocking him down. It's the personality, work ethic part of it.
That was nullified by Dan Orlovsky earlier. He put out another Twitter post saying he reached out more and found the opposite to be true from like the Ohio State coordinators and John Beck, who is QB coach that did work with like Herbert. He also does work with Zach Wilson and Kyle Trask. And I had recently listened to an interview that John Beck had done on he was on Moving the Sticks with Daniel Jeremiah and Bucky Brooks. And he was also raving about, it's just like hearsay, and it's just kind of hard to go off of that kind of stuff. And when you watch, you watch him in his pro, like some of the things you take from pro days is when the last throw he was throw a little behind the receiver in a deep like crossing throw, like a deep post where he like bootlegged out and then threw across to the opposite hash. He was a little behind and he like immediately was like, "Not run it back. Like, I didn't like that. Do it again." And he did it like 3 different times. It's like that kind of thing is the cool thing that you don't get to see in a game, right? Where you're like, oh, you're going to see his work ethic. He's like, "I didn't like that enough. Let's keep going and let's keep going." And which kind of gave me like a Russell Wilson's vibe, which I'm like completely down for. So I would definitely jump because he's one of those guys that's so athletic and like he's not as big as Trey Lance, but he is still 6'2", 225 or whatever. So he's still a beast, and you watch him run. It's like those type of players when things break down, it's great to have because which he has processing abilities. He actually, out of all the top 5 QBs in this class, he had the least amount of RPO in his during college. So he actually knows how to process reads. I don't know why that's even a question out there. But then when it breaks down, he can actually run it, and he can actually run through people. So it's just like, I worry that the Mac Jones stuff is smoke from San Francisco, and then they end up like taking a Justin Fields, which would be a real big bummer because I think he's farther along than Trey Lance is right now.
Shadow Jacker jumping in, the host of MHRT After Hours. Fellas, if you're the GM, who would you draft with the 9th overall pick? Kyle Pitts, offensive line, QB, or inside linebacker?
Well, why don't you?
I would actually move up to see if there's a quarterback that might fall. I'll move up to 4th or 5th, something like that. And if you're not going for a quarterback, I would just say trade back. Get a linebacker, cornerback, something like that. But I just don't know what quarterback he might, the Broncos would be interested in.
Yeah.
Trey Lance is pretty good. I like Trey Lance.
So we've got the Jags at 1, who we think is going to go Trevor Lawrence, right?
Yep.
We think.
Wow.
See, that could be a
never know.
surprise too. You never know.
Well, then you got the Jets going 2, and are we thinking Zach Wilson? Are they sticking with Darnold and going somewhere else?
God, what a great day that would be.
I don't know.
What a great day that would be if they stick with Sam Darnold and then the 49ers pick Mac Jones. We're just sitting back there like, what a great day.
Wouldn't you think that the Niners and Jets, because of the relationship between the two, there has been some behind the scenes talk that
they know what they're picking.
Here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna take Wilson. We're not gonna move the pick. I mean,
that was what also made me think that they might. What if they do keep Sam Darnold and they're like, we're not going to be picking a quarterback, and then the Niners are like, okay, so we're going to jump up to 3 because we know that Zach Wilson will be available, and then that's another.
And then the Jets will go, Zach Wilson. Oh,
yeah. And I have a feeling it's just going to be a surprise. It's not going to be what we think it's going to be. That's what I'm thinking.
It's maybe
shocking.
Yeah. I mean, you have Cowherd who sees Denver at the 9 picking Caleb Fairley, cornerback.
No.
So I mean, I don't see how that man can come to that conclusion.
He's calling Cowherd.
Yeah, but even so, I agree more with you, Mohamed. If they stick at 9, they'll probably, if it's not Mac Jones and one of those other quarterbacks is still on the board, they'll probably get him or jump up to get him ahead of Carolina, because Carolina is also looking for a quarterback. But if they trade back, then they'll probably just stack up on picks either for that same draft or for next draft, and then settle for a linebacker.
I like trading up for quarterback.
Trade back and stack like Pringles.
Ooh, I want Pringles.
We're
gonna have to move up. I'm just the farm, man. Like let's put our best foot forward. We have filled so many holes. Let's put our best foot forward and see where it takes us, and also reset the clock on a quarterback contract. You get somebody, all of a sudden you're low price. I mean, what's going to happen? What happens if we have Drew? He plays the whole season and starts entering his 4th year. I mean, are we going to pay him $25 million, which is going to be kind of what you would expect to pay somebody?
30.
Yeah, 30 around there.
What if
price is going up?
All of a sudden, we're like, we were good enough to not be having high draft choices and put ourselves in a position to get a quarterback. And this is our best opportunity to fill that hole and see what happens.
Yeah, I completely agree. Either move up, trade back, or I don't know. Probably like the most boring thing would be sitting at 9 and picking like a Rashawn Slater. But I mean, I'll take it.
Yeah,
I mean
that would be boring, but
yeah. I mean, I'd take it. Sure, that's a good need, but I would. My number 1 is trade up to 4 or 2. I don't think 2 is going to happen, but 4 I would for a if Fields or Lance is on the board, I would.
How much you think that was going to cost us? 3 first-round picks?
No,
less,
it
right?
would cost less than the Niners paid because it's behind them.
Yeah, they
So
moved.
you got to
up
think it
further.
would be like
maybe
About two.
two.
maybe two first and the third or
second
something like that.
rounders, Yeah.
No, it might be still first 3 first rounds, but you wouldn't have to give the additional third. Like I think that would be a fair. Like this year's first, and then the 2 following years first round picks to move up to.
See, I don't even think it would be that because that's not even. I mean, the Niners didn't even pay that.
You can calculate it out. I think our position is worth 1,800 points, and I think fourth is 2,600 points. So whatever you have to, the values, calculate. You can do the math. Figure out positional value.
But you also have to look forward as well. And we talked about the free agents that are coming due, and Cortland Sutton's one of them. And I don't know if we're going to want to franchise him. But if you have another grim situation where you're not sniffing the playoffs, he's going to want to go elsewhere. We're going to start losing players because of this. And it's just we have to take the freaking bull by the horns right now. And here's our best chance. When was the last time we were picking top 10? Was it when we got Von Miller at 2?
2011.
So.
I thought you meant like high, like one.
That's what I'm saying. Like this is we're and if all goes
Chubb at 5,
all goes well, and that's right. You're right. But so that we haven't been that great lately. But
yeah.
The idea is that the first round pick isn't going to be worth much because we're picking late in the round. That's the goal.
And Chubb fell into Denver's lap because a lot of people had Cleveland or any one of those other teams picking Chubb. So the fact that they went to Denzel Ward, it's like, wow. Even everybody at that moment was like, wow, Cleveland is picking Denzel Ward. And then like Boggin said, like the clock hadn't even started. And it's like, okay, Denver's already in with their pick.
It's a prime example of BPA, like best player available. Do you need him? No. We had Shaq Barrett that was like doing well. But when Bradley Chubb is on the board, you take him because he's absolutely. Bradley Chubb. It's
and it's a great choice because nothing against Denzel Ward, but he hasn't had the type of exposure and coverage and season that Bradley Chubb has had in Cleveland. Aside from the fact that they went to the playoffs last season, but it was a team effort. It wasn't just because of Denzel Ward's cornerback play.
He's been good. He's just been banged up a lot.
Well, this is the part that freaks me out. It's like I would have no problem trading back and going to get like a Darisaw or getting a Jamin Davis or something like that. But let's say that with the defense that we have, do you honestly see us going any worse than 9-8 or 7-10 or something like that? Like that's going to put us like mid-range, like 15, 20, somewhere like that in the draft next year. So then
you for the numbers already having those new numbers in your head. Good work. Good work.
I know. I was doing it while you guys were talking. So now you're looking at getting rid of a lot more future draft capital to move up to get that quarterback if for some reason Drew Lock doesn't work out or what have you. So my thing is like, why not trade up now, get the quarterback just in case, when you know that you have 4 or 5 first-round quarterbacks available, instead of being like, oh, crap, now we have to give up 3 first-round picks, 2 second-round picks, and a third-round pick to go up and get a quarterback next year.
Well, obviously Denver's biggest opponent last year was the injury bug. And, besides Drew Lock, but their biggest opponent was and just winning the division. Think about it. We got swept by the Raiders, which is something that I hate saying.
Happen.
Yeah, and then we also got swept by the Chiefs, which has been going on for the longest.
Actually.
Yeah, and
then it's hilarious. We wanted that, and then now we want to trade back.
And then we split. At least we split one with the Chargers, and then we still ended up in the basement. So, if this defense can stay healthy and aggressive as it sounds on paper when you read it or see it, then and Drew Lock can clean up the mistakes, this team can get out of the basement and contend for a division title, let alone just trying to get into the playoffs and deal with whoever ends up in the AFC. Because I mean, it sucks when you really think about it. Just like how many players got injured. And I know that's been a recurring theme in Broncos country, that it's because of injury that the Broncos ended up the way they ended. But you got to give credit to our coach for scrapping up the defense that he did at the last second, and just trying. This was a team that didn't give up even when their backs were against the wall. The head coach was making some head scratching decisions. We kept playing the quarterback carousel, and just the defense. So if our defense can stay healthy and our offense can clear up the mistakes and put points on the board, we'll be on our way.
Paul 80026. I felt all along Peyton would trade back for more darts. I still think that's probably the leading solution, or what we think is going to happen is he's going to trade back. Doesn't mean we can't wish that he moves forward. But
I've heard from good sources that they really like Fields, though. So I really, really hope.
See, and like 2 weeks ago, people were like, "No, they're not feeling Fields at all." Like they don't want.
It's funny.
Fields.
It isn't. It's you never. There were people that had to have put those rumors out that that Fields wasn't good. It's almost like it's draft season and there's random smoke being put out there to maybe drop a player.
He's like,
and then of course
like
Broncos country's like, Broncos are like, no, those aren't true. Those aren't true. These guys. It's like, shut up.
Peyton's out there pro days like, hey, Fields sucks, just so you know.
One thing
pass it on.
One thing that I can say that Broncos country should be exciting about is the moves that George Paton has made so far, and the moves that he is going to make in this draft, because and it's been a recurring theme on the show. We're so used to being able to see and know what John Elway does before John Elway does it. We know who he's going to pinch a penny with. We know who he's going to try to get in the draft. And with a new GM coming in, it's like we saw what he did in Minnesota with Justin Jefferson, a guy who went undrafted, if I'm not mistaken. And what they
he was the first rounder.
Oh, he's a first rounder? Okay, my mistake, corrected. But either way, what he did, he was still found in the draft, and then the same thing was Dalvin Cook. So Peyton has the nose to try to find good talent out there. So whether he decides to move up and get a quarterback like Boggins wants, or if he trades back and gets a linebacker, I think I can trust his choice in whoever he decides to spend the Broncos pick on.
Oh, John.
John, come on.
It's not a Drew Lock hating.
What's up with the Drew Lock hating Broncos podcast? Listen.
What's a podcast?
We said this from the beginning, and we've said it for months. We do not hate Drew Lock. Like, we believe that he is going to be the starter next year. But you have to have that quarterback behind him in case it doesn't work out. Whether it doesn't work out talent-wise, or whether it doesn't work out, he gets injured. Something has to happen. My question, and this is the question that I've had for a while, and it kind of goes with Shadow Jacker. Lancer and Mrs. Fields are solid picks, but I say run it back with Moxie, number 3. So this is my question. For anybody that is a diehard Drew Lock supporter, where do you see his ceiling being? Like, do you see Drew Lock going from his second year to his third year being like all-star, like all-pro, like top 10 quarterback, or do you see him being like 15 to 20 range quarterback, or do you see him being the quarterback that it was last year? Like, what do you think his ceiling is? And then my question to that is, if it's not top 10, why are we not shooting for someone that could possibly be top 10? So it's not about hating Drew Lock. It's going into it with the understanding of this is what he's shown, and this is where we believe his ceiling is. We want to aim higher than that. Like, we don't want to just settle for the Trent Dilfer, Brad Johnson style of winning a Super Bowl. Like, we want the offense and the defense to both be good.
Well, how can you possibly say we want them to fail? I mean, I've been watching the Broncos since 1977. But look at my life. Look at my. It's okay. We live across country and we have tickets to the games. I mean, come on. Mm-hmm. There's no way we want the team to fail. The problem is is for some reason that's the only position that nobody wants to look at improving. We have Kyle Fuller, Darby, Ojemudia, Callahan as cornerbacks, and people are saying we need a cornerback at 9. So now you're hating on the defensive backfield. No, we're just trying to maximize all of these positions in order to break the 5-year drought on the playoffs. It's not hating on Drew Lock, and I cannot stress that enough. And I can't stand the narrative that we're anti-Lock. I mean, I want the guy to succeed. I think he's shown some great flashes. I mean, we were so excited going into last year, and a lot of things happened, but that hurt, and you know, through not his fault, but also he has some things mechanically that he and decision making that is clearly on him, and you can't push it. I mean, Philip Lindsay was on NFL radio this week with Bruce Murray and Todd Haley, the former coach. And he said that it's all on Drew, that he's got all the talent, he's got all the pieces around him, and it's on him to figure out how to get it to the next level. And that's his former running back, as of not even 2 weeks ago, is saying that. So it's not about hating on Drew Lock. It's about, we need to maximize. We're also in a division with two of the most talented young quarterbacks that are going to be there for 10 years and more and up. We need to do something. And I can't understand why. I mean, if we draft linebackers because we hate on the linebacking core we have, no, we need to look ahead and plan ahead and try to win.
I just think he's going to get his chance. I mean, Drew Lock is going to get his chance. He can either win or lose. I mean, it's up to him.
Another chance at that. I mean, you have to look at it like this, John. And I can honestly tell you that I've been a Drew Lock supporter since the day he got drafted, and I'll probably be a Drew Lock supporter if he doesn't work out in Denver next season and he gets cut and he goes to another team. But I think you're misunderstanding what our point on this podcast is. Because if you think that we hate Drew Lock, you need to go to some of these forums and Reddums on Facebook and social media where people really don't like Drew Lock. And for me, it's just disappointing, dude, because I can tell you, I was sitting down week 1 and I was so excited to see Drew Lock from 2019, you know, the guy that was just making throws and making plays or whatever. And then when you see what he did from week 1 all the way to the very last week, I mean, we lost to the Raiders, man, a game that didn't mean anything. But I would have more than wanted that game to win that game than to lose and have Denver end with the number 9 spot, because that's the kind of confidence that Drew Lock needs. And it's something that he didn't get. So in order for Denver to try to fix things, they need to try to bring in somebody who's going to light a fire underneath Drew Lock. You know, unfortunately, Flacco didn't want to be that guy when he was here in 2018, and Rippon tried to be with that, you know, that advice or whatever. And, you know, nobody really has any faith in Jeff Driscoll. I'm sorry. But if they can get somebody to go out there and kind of just remind Drew, like, hey, man, we're going to give you another shot to start for this team. But if you do not, you know, fix your mistakes, if you cannot elevate this team to try to contend with an up-and-coming Justin Herbert, you know, Derek Carr has always been a pain in our behind, and so has Patrick Mahomes. So if you cannot contend with those 3 quarterbacks in this division, then what chance do you really have of, you know, if you make it to the playoffs and you have to play against another AFC opponent, or if you make it to the Super Bowl and you have to face like Tom Brady, for example. So all we want is for somebody to come and just push Drew to try to play to be a better quarterback, not just for this team, but for himself.
All I'll say is that you can be skeptical of a player on your team and still want them to succeed. Like, it's not, you're not a Drew hater, you're not a Drew lover, you would like them to succeed. Yes. Do you see a specific ceiling? Yes. I mean, it's funny to think about. If you didn't have orange colored glasses on and Drew Lock played for the Raiders, would you be worried about Drew Lock? Like, I mean, come on. Let's be real here. So I like potential ceilings. I mean, you watched Herbert go out there, do his thing with brand new everybody. You watched whose OC got fired. Then you go over to Cincinnati with Joe Burrow, same situation, and you can at least see something where none of the fans are like, "Ooh, I don't know, I want him out of there." You know what I mean? But the fact that the Broncos country is so divided right now about the specific position should tell you something. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, I think we all are pretty much right in the middle. Like, we want him to succeed, but we want someone there just in case he doesn't.
Oh, you said Justin. Let me tell you about Justin Fields real quick.
What?
That's a great segue. I just went right over my head.
Good job.
Right over it.
That's our boss Mike for you.
We're just gonna leave it at that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think now my brain's all on Drew Lock.
Yeah.
I want to say that Denver will trade up to 4 because I don't see the Jets wanting to trade out. Otherwise, I think the Niners probably would have gotten it. So I see them trading up to 4 or 5. I don't know if Atlanta would take a quarterback though. That's my thing. Like, because they're basically stuck with Matt Ryan for 3 years, no matter what.
But one thing you also got to look at though is also if we do trade to 5, hoping that Atlanta doesn't pick up a quarterback, the only other team potentially that would be close enough to trade up to 4 would be the Panthers. And you really think the Falcons are going to trade with the Panthers? You know, they're not going to trade to get a quarterback in the same division. So I think potentially we could trade with the Bengals to maybe. But
who's Bengals are at 5?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Their schedule. They're picked to go offensive tackle. I forget the name of that gentleman. Sewell. Yeah.
I still think I like Darisaw better than Jewel.
I mean, either one of those guys. Either one of those guys. But the Bengals need to protect their quarterback because they had a pretty big scare when he went down last season, and they're hoping that when he does come back in Burrow that he comes back better than he was before.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right, John. Hold on a second.
And John, we appreciate your comment.
Well, we appreciate. So Denver has a terrible offensive coordinator, but you want to let Drew learn under him? Like I think we all pretty much agreed that Locke and Shermer are the problem. Like they don't work together. If you look at the history of Shermer in the NFL, he doesn't work very well with very young quarterbacks. He works better with veteran quarterbacks. So that's another reason why I see him trading back and going with like Darisaw or Jamin Davis, you know, that side of it. But I just drafting a first-round quarterback, yeah, that's basically replacing Locke after next year. Like the ideal situation is still to have a first-round quarterback sit and learn for a year, and then go in on the second season.
You're replacing a second-round quarterback with a first-round quarterback.
Yeah, I mean, everybody's wanting to be like, well, give Drew Lock 4 or 5 years. That's what first-round picks get. Drew Lock's not a first-round pick. He gets 2, maybe 3 years. He's getting his
picks aren't even getting that anymore.
Yeah, I mean, look at Sam Darnold. I mean, he's going into his 4th, and he's been on a terrible Jets team with Adam Gase, who's like the black hole for quarterbacks. So, Sam Darnold was what, number 3 off the board, number 2, number 4. I don't even remember. He was a top 5 pick.
Number 3, I think. Yeah.
And you want Drew Lock to have the same amount of time as Sam Darnold? He doesn't get that. He's not a first-round quarterback. Like, yeah, he's talented, but every quarterback that's drafted is talented. That's why they're in the NFL. So we hope he succeeds, but he did. At least as far as I go, I'm not giving him any excuse. You get nothing. Like, pandemic or not, he was the only quarterback in that situation that struggled like that. So you don't get any excuses with me. Like if he wants to keep the crappy footwork he had, fine, but cut back on half of those picks, and we win 5 or 6 more games. So That's just me.
Because we have the talent. That's the thing. We have the weapons. Yeah. We have the talent. We filled so many holes. And I think there's, we praise Peyton for all of these moves. And I think that him coming aboard is what's making this such an interesting offseason, because there's such mystery and we're not familiar with his patterns, and the fact that he's never been the man totally in charge. Mm-hmm. So he may not even have patterns for that quite yet. But the fact is he had an opportunity to replace Pat Shurmur and he kept him. So obviously he thinks that Shurmur is a quality coach. I mean, we've all had criticism about him throughout. We don't think he adjusted well to the players that he had. I mean, the defense adjusted great to the injuries, and the offense didn't. So we have a lot of issues with him. But I'm looking long term. I need to stop this 5-year playoff drought. And if we go 9-8 or 8-9, I mean, we're now smack in the middle, and our options are really, really limited to break this pattern. And I feel like this is the best opportunity that we have to put our best foot forward.
Yeah. So with the way that the offense and the defense are shaking out, players aside, who do you see draft-wise? Do you see Denver leaning more towards the offensive side of the ball, or do you see him leaning more towards the defense and keep building that? Because free agent has been a run on defense, signing our own guys, signing corners. So now are we going? Are there holes other than right tackle? Because we don't have what's his face,
running back.
Yeah.
But who is the Dotson? We don't have Dotson anymore, and we don't know if Juwan James is going to play or how long he's going to play. Mm-hmm. So if taking quarterback out of the scenario, are you more likely to see us go tackle, running back, or like linebacker in the draft?
It really depends on where we are, what we do. Because this is actually a pretty deep draft at multiple positions, and I think it's actually pretty even. I mean, our main positional needs on offense are just right tackle and running back, and then obviously quarterback, depending on what Peyton views. And then, it's pretty much 3 for 3, I think, right? Because defensive interior IDL is probably an issue. I don't really like this draft for IDL though. But plenty of linebackers, safeties, cornerbacks, depth.
Ideal for depth. Or are you talking like replacing somebody?
No, like depth. Okay,
so not like moving on from Purcell or putting depth behind him.
No, not necessarily. Although I like someone that penetrates a little bit better than Purcell. He's more of just a run stuffer. But oh my god, we have McTelvin and Jim. We'll just hope that. This is the year for him to kind of break through. So hopefully he does. But I technically, I guess more defensive players will probably be drafted, but not by much. It'll be pretty even.
Well, and are we wanting to get? Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say we have a very unusual situation on our offensive line too. How many teams are looking at tackle that have almost $30 million in salary for their 2 tackles? That we have a guy who got the highest paid right tackle contract in history at the time, and we're worried about replacing him. Most teams would be thrilled to have Juwan James at right tackle, Garrett Bowles at left, but there's so much uncertainty. It's sad that we have to consider a tackle at 9, or if we trade back. If we trade back, I would love to get a coverage linebacker, and I know Albert said the same thing. I would love to see some energy on that side of the ball, because I do think we have a lot of weapons.
Yeah. And I still I know that we've been tied to Micah Parsons, Caleb Farley, but with Farley's back, I think he's probably going to fall
second round.
I don't know if he'll fall that far. He'll probably go to the end of the first, 20, 25 to the end.
One name I keep hearing though that it keeps being brought up is one position I guess I didn't mention, edge, with Jason Owe out of Penn State. His name just keeps being brought up just because he's the one I like to hashtag 0 sacks because he had 0 sacks last year. He's had 7 in total in his 3 years. But the comparisons, though, the only other players that have gone to the NFL that lasted more than like a couple seasons in the NFL with that same amount of numbers is Jason Pierre-Paul and Ziggy Ansah, who turned out okay. So it's but he had a crazy pro day. The measurables are insane. So.
And that was one of the other questions I had is, do you think Denver's trying to get Walker back? And then if we do, are we going to go edge, or would it be later in the draft we'd go for edge?
You just don't expect Walker to be Von filler though, because he's on the. So I would still go edge in the draft too. Yeah, higher though.
John, first round Slater, second inside linebacker Jamin Davis or Asante Samuel, Newsome or Elijah Molden. See, I think Jamin Davis is going to get into the first round.
Agree.
So I wouldn't. That's what I was saying. Like with Micah Parsons, I'd rather miss Micah Parsons, go back and get Jamin Davis if we're not moving up.
Yeah, and we're not trying to deal with anybody named Elijah. We just got out of a relationship with an Elijah.
That's not true. Yeah. I'll deal with Elijah Molden all day. UW, baby.
Well, it's like let's get Parsons in the Scare Straight program and pick him. And that's one thing with Parsons is like I understand that he's a better person than he was. And he's saying that it was, he's grown from those types of things when he's 17, 18. When I was 17, 18, those thoughts never crossed my mind. Like those aren't things I was like, oh, I probably shouldn't do that. Because you don't do that. So, I mean, I understand like you're growing and you're maturing, but I mean, come on. Like those aren't normal thoughts that cross someone's mind. Like, hey, there's a butt. I'm going to stick something in it. Like, that's not okay. Like, you don't do that.
Fair enough.
You mentioned that Davis and I was saying a week ago, John's suggestion is a total possibility, but these pro days are elevating some of these sleepers. I know Boggins was disappointed at Kentucky's pro day and how Davis really elevated himself. But what it's going to do is it's moving people up, and there's a log jam at the top, so guys are going to end up falling down. It's gonna. I can't wait.
Would you be surprised if they go running back, like in the G
first?
Late, like if they trade back?
Yes, absolutely.
Hey, Mark.
It's maybe because I mean they had Dalvin Cook over there, who was a 2nd round pick, and I think Madison was a 3rd round pick. So I mean they spend premium picks. I mean at least Spielman did. So I don't know how much. Peyton had an influence in that, but I wouldn't.
Do they even
Najee?
Do they even have a running back slated in the first? Or are they all like second?
Najee probably. Najee. It's weird because a lot of people say Najee's going to go first. Travis Etienne is pretty much slated as the number 1 overall. It's pretty back and forth between Etienne and Najee Harris, and then Javonte Williams, who's my RB1, is.
I was say your guys 3. Williams and then Hubba Bubba, right?
No,
I just wanted to say Hubba Bubba.
I'll take any of the North Carolina running backs. Javonte Williams or Michael Carter are both very good.
Okay. Yes, John, you are totally correct. I was just making a joke to Boggins because Boggins knows I don't know anything about college football. But if he says Elijah Molden's good,
Beast can play safety. You're a corner. You have to remember that Jackson's basically a 1-year rental. Yeah,
no doubt about that. He
hit free agency and went, oh crap.
Mm-hmm. I like how he tried to sneak in a 1 year 8. Everyone else was getting 1 year 5s, and he's like, 1 year 8,
1 year 8.
No. Okay. How about 5.5?
I'll see you tomorrow.
So yeah, I don't. It's so weird compared to previous years with Elway, because it's like with Elway we knew exactly where we were going, and now we have no idea. Like, are we going to move up? Are we going to move back? Are we going to stay? Are we like?
Well, it's also interesting with the roster because we're pretty. Like, we could go into the season tomorrow, and we have a roster. You know what I mean? Like, we could make do with what we currently have. So I mean, would we be pretty mediocre? Yeah. But so I think it's kind of cool that we go in and just we have a decently rostered team with the 9th overall pick. That's pretty cool. Like,
I mean, with 17 games now, you're either good or you suck. There's no break even anymore. So
I'm tired.
We gotta get out of the basement.
Yeah, I think right now, if you're not shooting for a franchise quarterback, right now all we need is just to hedge our bets. That's basically all we need. We need depth. We need just in case people like that. That's what we need. We don't really need to aim for like a super all-star. Sorry, I know Pitts is like your boy toy, but I just don't know if Pitts is where we're gonna go.
Not a Davis Mills fan.
Quién sabe.
Oh yeah. I've also been hearing a lot about Kellen Mond in the 2nd or 3rd.
Yeah, maybe
he interests me a little bit. I was watching some tape on him. He's not bad.
No, he's not.
I mean,
he looks a lot like Kaepernick as far as like his throwing motion, or not as wind up as but his like neck is weird. It's like his shoulder pads just seem like they're up here, and like everything is up here. He almost has like an Aaron Rodgers before he came out of college. How Aaron Rodgers will hold the ball up here before he'd throw it.
Yeah.
That's what it kind of looks like. It's weird, but
he looks like Bobby Boucher when he's getting ready to tackle somebody.
Yeah.
If we don't go first round, if you don't get a quarterback in the first round, and we get him in the second round, I wouldn't hate it. You know.
Yeah, and then John said Davis Mills from Stanford. I wouldn't mind him either. The only reason I say we go with I think that we would go with the first rounder is just if we're looking to replace someone. But I would not mind Kellen Mond or Davis Mills.
I like
just
Jamie
not
Newman.
like I hope that they don't. Yeah, Jamie Newman. I hope that they don't have to start their first year if we get them. That's my thing. Like I don't want them to start. All right, so that is going to about do it. We are out of time. We have enjoyed every single second that we've had here, even the fighting. That's fine. We're fans. We're supposed to fight. We all have differing opinions. It's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. We're not haters, so don't. Mo, it has been absolutely
#haters next week.
#haters. We've loved having you here, Mo. It's been great.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Just sitting here chatting, like it's fun.
Thank you.
So again, we want to remind everybody we are live every Thursday, 7654 on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. We are also on Tuesdays with Broncos Talk, exactly the same time, 7654. Make sure that you're liking, following, subscribing, turning on notifications, smashing that thumbs up, and sharing all the posts that we put out there. Again, we want to thank everybody that's been in there. Mark, John, Shadow. I'm not even going to try to pronounce this one. Mo, I'll leave that to you because
that's my son actually.
Okay, I'm not touching that one.
Abdel. He goes by Abdel.
Okay, I was gonna say Abel, so that works.
That just means you can't read.
Pretty much. Hey,
tell your son that what I tell our kids, you live with a YouTube sensation now, right?
Yeah, there you go. Albert, Paul. Hold on. I'm still scrolling. Oh, apparently Mohamed Badri was in the comments. Hi, Mohamed. All right, guys, we got to get going. We will see you guys on Tuesday for Broncos Talk and on Thursday for the MHRT podcast. See you guys.
Bye.